Well, good morning again, and I'm back on the third video for this whole series of a Mead a week in 2019. As per usual, the first part of a brew day starts with cleaning all your equipment. I've got all the little bits in here, bubblers, trial jar, everything is in here in a cleaning solution. I'll just put this to the side. I've got in this demijohn, it is filled up with a no rinse sterilizer. I've already ran some cleaning fluid through this siphon. I'll now run the sterilizer through the siphon into my next brew bucket so that I can empty this demijohn to rack this mead. So it's an easy matter of just opening up the siphon. The siphon goes into the demijohn tube, and pump. There we go, it's flowing. It's always a good idea to have the item being siphoned higher than the area you want to siphon it in. So this is going to take just 2 or 3 minutes. What I'll do is I'll pause the video here and I'll come back when this has been emptied. There we go, everything has now been siphoned out of the demijohn. I've swirled the last dregs around and threw it into the bucket. The siphon goes into the bucket just to keep sterile for a few more minutes. Put this down. Sterilised demijohn and week 1's mead. Just carefully move it up. I've boiled some of this water to rehydrate the yeast I'm going to be using on the next one. When you're siphoning the first rack from one demijohn to another, try and have around 1 inch of bottled water in the bottom here, and the outlet of the siphon goes into the water. It is not going to completely eliminate any oxygen, but it will help to minimize it. So I like to pour some of the bottled water straight in. Just around 1/2 inch. So I've got that in there. Get the siphon ready. Point goes into the water and I can start siphoning. There you go, transfer is now underway. And as you can see here, it is slowly but surely filling up. Right, this is going to take about 2 minutes, so once again I'll pause the video here, and once it's been siphoned completely, I will stick on an airlock and move to the next brew. There we go, siphoning is complete. I've put a new airlock on with some sterilizer fluid. The little bit of bottled water I added at the bottom has reduced the headspace, which we don't need at the moment. It's better that way now. This can now go back into a nice stable temperature environment for the next 4 weeks, and then I can start clarifying after stunning the yeast. Before I racked it, this was around 11.5%. With the addition of some water, I'm happy to call this a 10% mead. I don't need a very high alcohol mead, I just need a good tasting mead. I'm going to now move this one out of the way, remove some of this gear, and I'll start off on the next brew. So I'll see you back in just a minute. So the first order of business for today's mead is to prepare the yeast. I'm changing from the Young's Brewer's yeast to Lalvin D47. You need to rehydrate this yeast, so I boiled some of my bottled water, put it in a sterilized cup, and I let it chill down. It is now about 30 degrees Celsius. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of yeast nutrient, around a quarter teaspoon. Then I'm going to add the yeast in there, and I'm going to leave it rehydrate for the next portion. Just tear and pour. That can now go off to the side. In about 10-15 minutes it will be ready, and I carry on from there. So in the bucket now I've got 4 pounds of frozen sweet dog cherries. I've taken a potato masher, just mashed them to crush the cherries more. And I've started adding extra water. Just want to add around 2 pints of water. At the end of this recipe we're going to have the water level about 2/3 here, so that when we do rack we can get a nice full demijohn. To help reduce any haziness in the mead, I add a teaspoon of pectolase. It's a pectic enzyme, and especially for fruit wines I find it extremely beneficial. That just goes in straight there. I'll now add in 3 pounds of honey and top it off with more water. There we go. I've now added another 4 pints of water on top of the 2 pints already added. So it's taken the level to about 2/3. That gives a lot of headspace here. All the honey has been added. So now, stir until all the honey is incorporated. This is going to add more air into the mix. Anything to give the yeast a very good start to life. I still have this yeast hydrating here. If I now just add this straight into this bucket, I will shock the yeast. The temperature here is around 28 degrees at the moment. The temperature in here is around 18. So I'm going to have to try and slowly bring the temperature of this one down to the temperature of the must. And the easiest way to do that is by adding a little bit of the must every minute. This still needs a good stir, there's still some undissolved honey. Let me just get the thermometer quick. Clean it off from the sterilizer. Yes, the temperature of the must is 18 degrees. The temperature of the yeast is 27 degrees. So continue to try and equalize the pressure. Just give that a wash off. And carry on mixing. Right, I'm going to carry on doing this for the next few minutes. Once I'm ready to pitch the yeast, I'll be back. There we go, I've just checked the temperature. The yeast culture is now at 20 degrees. The must temperature is 18 degrees, so if I now pitch the yeast, there's not going to be a bad temperature difference. Just a quick, vigorous swirl, and yeast straight in. That now gets sealed tightly. Airlock gets fitted. It will equalize. And we're ready to leave this to do its work. Every day, starting tomorrow morning, I will open the brewing vessel. I'll use the sterilized spoon to punch the cap, which is to drop the fruit down, and I'll add a quarter teaspoon of nutrient. I'll do that for 4 days. That gives the yeast a nice kick, and within around 2 weeks this mixture, which came in at 1.093, will be fermented down to around 1, and I can transfer it into a demijohn. So that is my third mead for 2019, 3 weeks, 3 meads. Next week I will do another mead, come back then, and we'll do this together. Thank you very much for watching.